A parallel life awoken by a lamp. Throwaway account cause this is really personal. My last semester at a certain college, I had an altercation with a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds. I was 120 pounds. While unconscious on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married, and almost immediately she bore me a daughter. I had a great job, and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, my wife bore me a son. My son was the joy of my life. I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. One day, while sitting on the couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. It was a square lamp base, red with gold trim on 4 legs and a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it. The next morning, I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about that lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon I stopped that too, as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at the freaking lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me. By this time, my cognizance was breaking up, and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I had my epiphany. The lamp is not real. The house is not real. My wife, my kids. None of that is real. The last 10 years of my life are not freaking real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective, and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kinds of weird noises, and I became aware of pain. An overwhelming amount of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk, surrounded by people that I didn't know. Lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up, dragged, walked me across the sidewalk and grass, and threw me face down in the back of a cop car. I was still confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to wait for the ambulance to arrive, and give CT scans and additional tests. I went through about 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children, and dealing with the knowledge that they never existed. I was scared that I was going insane, as I would cry myself to sleep, hoping I would see her in my dreams. I never have, but sometimes I see my son, usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He is perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says. Edit. 24 hours after post. Never though anyone would read this, I changed a line so that it no longer seems that my 2-year-old daughter bore a child. I have never seen Inception or the Star Trek episode so many have mentioned, but I will eventually. I will not do an AMA. I've had many PMs describing similar experiences, and 3 posters stating such experiences are impossible. I'd say more research needs to be done on brain functions. Pre-med students don't assume you know everything. A few have asked if they can write a book, like screen, play, shower stage, play, shugward rage comic, etc. Please consider this tale open source and have fun with it. I had a similar experience, just not as extreme. When I was either in late elementary school or early middle school, I had a very vivid and detailed dream that felt like it lasted 2 to 3 months. I was staying with an older woman at some kind of cottage. The entire yard was all tall, overgrown garden plants, flowering, herbal, vegetables, etc., with small gravel paths winding through them. Beyond the gardens was a dark woodland, mostly pines. Inside of the cottage was very rustic, like something from an earlier time. The woman never spoke to me, but would occasionally check in on me while I was out exploring the gardens or around the cottage. I never got a malevolent vibe from her. It more so felt like she was taking care of me, or at the very least, watching out for me. Then, one evening she approached me along the front walkway and handed me a lantern and my family cat, from real life, who who I hadn't seen before that moment. The woman told me something along the lines of, "It's time for you to go now. Take these. You'll need them." The whole thing was very solemn and earnest, not a rude dismissal. Dreamy was perfectly fine with this happening, despite it being so sudden. I walked for a long time along the road. She had no neighbors, through the dark woods until I came upon my family's house. I opened and walked through the front door. Then I woke up. I remember feeling like I had been gone for so long and was missing my family and home. I didn't tell them about the dream until years later. The experience didn't unnerve me, it just felt very personal and private. Strange, but weirdly sacred. I had a dream like that, just a shorter span. 3 months. Met a guy at a hospital my dream aunt worked at. We ended up liking each other and became super close. Then one day, I went back to the hospital, and his room was empty. I ran around looking for him, and no one told me where he had gone. I woke up, and that was it. Never saw him again. I think about him sometimes. I have an incredibly vivid memory from when I was a kid of a dream. I'm sitting on a beach with a girl, she's blonde, hair comes down to her jaw. I'm pretty sure she had blue eyes. We are just talking and I get the feeling we had just walked down the beach to where we were sitting. I can't remember exactly what her face looked like, just an impression of it, and an impression of her as a person. Now that on its own is not anything weird, except that I had this dream a couple of years after that again, in the same place, although it was as if we were both a little older. I've never dreamed about her again. And now, my dreams are always contain people I know in real life, or the people in them are usually not detailed enough to remember anything about them, just strangers. I am afraid that the life I am experiencing right now is a fake one. I was 12 years old when I fell of the stairs. I was on summer vacation with my family at Salamis Island. I remember only the part that I was about to fall, and the part that I woke up facing the door at the end of the stairs. Nobody saw me. Maybe I never woke up. Also, at another point on the same island, I had the same experience, but underwater. I was swimming underwater, and when I wanted to come up, I was blocked by a floating mattress. I remember blacking out and suddenly swimming like normal again. It has been 18 years since then. Did I die? Did I jump to a parallel universe? I feel like I have died 2 times and woke up in a different body. The part I hate the most is that I don't know whether the football player got in trouble. I really hope he got in trouble. The closest I ever got to a dream like that was we finished playing a soccer game and I was running around and got all sweaty and out of breath. I sat on the side about to pass out because that just happens sometimes. But this time I had a strange dream. Like I was still running around on the field, and then we just won the game. The image of the scoreboard is burned into my brain. Looking up at it, what's funny is, there was no scoreboard like that, and we always lost. I had about 4 to 6 trippy real-life dreams that still haunt me to this day. That's why trippy dream perspective movies speak to me, because I understand how convincing your own mind can be. That lamp story gives me the same feeling.